Alright, subpart F, operation maintenance. Testing. Okay, we're there. Subpart F, operation maintenance, part 195, 400. Scope of this part, prescribe the minimum quantity of operating maintenance. Maintaining pipeline seal with the construction with the steel pipe. 195, 401, general quantity. No operative to maintain the pipeline system at a level of safety lower than the required with the subpart of the procedure required with the establishment for 195, 402A with the subpart operative must make the repair of the pipeline system according with the following requirements. All right, non-integrity management or management repair within an operative to discover the condition that could adversely affect the safety of the operation pipeline system must currently condition with a reasonable time. However, if the condition is such of the nature of the present that immediate hazard that permits person property of the operator may not operatively affect the part of the system until it is corrected on safety condition. Integrity management repairs when the operator discovers the condition of the pipeline covered in 195.452, the operator must correct the condition as recited in 195.452H, except for provided in 195.5. No operator may operate any part of the following pipelines unless it is required to design with the construction that requires power. Low interstate pipelines are older than low stress pipeline, other than low stress pipeline, which construction was begun with March 31st, 1970. Transfer has a liquid interstate offshore gathering other than low stress pipeline with construction that begun with July 31st, 1979. Transportation has a liquid interstate pipeline other than low stress pipeline other than the construction that began with October 20th, 1980. The transport has liquid pipeline with construction that began with July 31st, 1990. The transportation carbon dioxide, low stress pipeline, which was construction that began with August 10th, 1994, 195.402, procedural manual operation maintenance for the emergency of the general executive of the operation, prepare for the following each of the pipelines if the manual with the written procedure for conducting normal operation for the maintenance activities, handling abnormal operation emergency. Manuals should be reviewed the interval of the 9 to 15 months at least once each of the calendar year with the appropriate change of the estimated of the necessary to ensure that the manual and the fact that the manual should be prepared before the initial operation pipelines for the depends on the appropriate part of the keep the location of the operation of the maintenance activities of conducted associated administrative state agencies submitted with the current certification under the pipeline safety law of the Title 49 U.S. Standard 60-101. Respect for the pipeline facility governed by the operator claim with received that may affect the opportunity to further hearing provided in the Title 49 U.S. Standard CFR 192. Stick with the relevant state for receive the require of the operator to remember the pre-claim with the perceived necessary to provide the reasonable level of safety. All right, maintenance for any normal operation of the manual required with the paragraph A of the section must include the pre-receive of the following and provide the safety during the maintenance of the normal operation, the making construct the record of the operating history of the available necessary for the safety of the operation maintenance, gathering data needs for the reporting accidents under subpart B with this part, timely effective manner, operating, maintaining, and repairing the pipeline system according to for each requirement of the subpart A. The subpart of determining the pipeline facility located in the area that would require the immediate response of the operator to prevent hazardous public facility with malfunction, analyze that if the pipeline is active, determine with the cause, minimize potential hazards identified under paragraph C4 with the section, possibility of the recurrence of the action of the analyzed under paragraph C5 of this section, start up and shut down the any of the part of the pipeline with the manner with the described and ensure the operation of the limits of prescribed in 195.406 ensure the hazardous liquid carbon dioxide in the transportation variation and altitude of the pipeline with the compressor for the monitoring with the control device and give the pipeline that is not equipped with a full fail-safe for the monitoring from the intended location pipeline pressure during the start of the until the safe pressure following condition reach for the during the shutting and ensure the operation limit is prescribed in 195.406 and the cave of the facility equipped with the fail safe and identified under paragraph 195.402C if the work of the control receive the delivery for enhanced liquid carbon dioxide detecting abnormal operation of the manual pressure temperature flowing the other appropriate operational data for the transmit the data for the attendant for the location abandoning pipeline facility, including safety disconnection from the operating pipeline system, purging the combustible, sealing the abandoned facility left to play for the minimum of the safety environmental hazard for each of the abandoned offshore pipeline facility, the crossover of the commercial the navigable waters last operator of the facility must file with the report abandoning of the facility in accordance with 195.59 part, minimizing likelihood of accident and ignition of the vapor that air with the near the facility identified under paragraph C4 with the section where the potential exhibit the presence of the flammable liquid gases maintain the liquidated for the fireplace and fire police and other appropriate public office to learn responsibly resource for each of the government organization that may respond to the hazardous liquid carbon dioxide pipeline emergency, acquainted with the official with the operative ability to respond to hazardous liquid and carbon dioxide pipeline emergency means the communication, periodically reviewing the work of the operative, the person will determine the effectiveness of pursuit of the normal operation of the main to taking the corrective action where the deficiency found taking adequate precaution to investigate the transfer to protect the person with the head of the safety of the accumulation of the vapor, the gap, the make of the available to need the excavation emergency response with equipment, include the breathing apparatus and a rescue harness with line, implementing the applicable root control room arrangement of procedures in one at section 195.446. Abnormal operation of the manual require the paragraph A of the section must include the procedures for the following provided safety of the operational design limitations having been received the proceeding responding to investigating and correcting the cause of the unintended closure of the valve and shutdown linked with increase or decrease the pressure flow rate outside of the normal operating pressure operating limits, low communication operation from the aim device, any other malfunction with the component deviation from the normal operation error which could develop the hazard to the personnel of the property check of the various the normal operation the abnormal operation at the end of the position critical location system determining continued integrity of the safe operation corrected and variation of the normal operation pressure for the flow of equipment and control notifying reasonable operator of the personnel knows the abnormal operation is proceed. Periodically reviewing the reliably operator profile to determine the effectiveness of the procedure, control the amount of abnormal operation for the take of the corrective action with the deficiency or found emergency the manual required over the paragraph A of the section must include proceed with the following to provide the safety of the emergency conditions occur, receive the identify the classifying notice of the event for the need of immediate response of the operator and notice the fire policy and other appropriate public office to communicate the information appropriate the operator person with the corrective action, prompt effectiveness, respond with notice each of the type of the emergency including fire explosion occurring near the directly involved in the pipeline facility, additional release of the hazardous liquid and carbon dioxide of the pipeline facility operation, failure of the cause of the hazardous condition, natural disaster affecting the pipeline facility, having personal equipment and instrument, tools and materials available as needed to assume the emergency. Taking the necessary actions such as the emergency shutdown pressure reducing, minimize the volume of the hazardous liquid carbon dioxide that released in any section of the pipeline system event failure, control the relief of the hazardous liquid carbon dioxide accident with the scene of the minimized hazard include possible intentional engagement of the cover the flammable high volatile liquid, minimization public exposure, injury probability, accidental ignition system of the excavation of the resident, assisting in halting the traffic of the road rails on effective area for taking the appropriate action. Notify fire, police, appropriate public official for the hazard of the liquid carbon dioxide pipeline emergency coordination with the prepared actual response during the emergency. In addition, with during the emergency, and additional precautions necessary for an emergency involved in the pipeline system to transport high volatile liquid and capability of the pipeline system with the transportation high volatile liquid using an appropriate instrument that sufficiently existent standard cover the vapor cover determining the hazard of the area that provided the post action on the view of the employee with the activity determining whether the procedure where the fact of the emergency take the corrective action deficiency found actions required to be taken to the controller during the emergency in accordance with 195.446 safety related conditions of the manual paragraph A with the section must include the instruction to enable the personnel to perform personal operation and maintenance activities to recognize the condition of the potential may be safety related condition any subject reporting accordance 195.55 195.4403 emergency response training. Each operator shall establish the conduct the continuing training program ensuring instruct the emergency response personnel care of the emergency response procedure that established 195.402 relate to their assignment to know of the character of the hazardous liquid carbon dioxide transport, including the case of the volatile liquid flammable to make sure the air and odorless vapor of the water reactions. Recognized conditions are likely to cause the emergency break with the consequent facility malfunction, facility failures, and hazardous liquid carbon dioxide spills, and taking appropriate corrective action. Taking steps necessary to control the accident, relieve the hazard of liquid carbon dioxide, and minimize the potential of the fire explosion, toxic to environmental damage, and learn the potential cause of the type of the consequence of the fire with appropriate fire extinguishers on the other side, other on-site fire control equipment involved with the feasible and similarly pipeline emergency condition. Intervals not exceeding 15 months, but less than each calendar year, the operator shall review the personal performance meeting of the objective emergency response team program. So for the paragraph A of the section, make an appropriate training with the emergency response training program is necessary to ensure the effectiveness. Each operator shall require the verify the supervisor maintain the knowledge of the portion of the emergency response procedure that is established in 195.402 with which are responsible to ensure close compliance. 195.404 math records. Each operator shall maintain the current map of the records within pipeline system to include the list of the following information: location, identification of the following pipeline facility, breakout tanks, the pump station, scrape with the shear, facilities, pipeline valve with the facility, which with 195.402 with C9 with apply with the right of way, the safety device 195.428 apply with all across public road for the railroad, river, buried or utilities forward pipeline with the maximum operating pressure for each of the pipeline diameter greater than type of the nominal wall thickness all apply. Each operator shall maintain at least 3 years of operating record with indicate the discharge pressure of the pump station emergency abnormal operation of the procedure on 195.402. Each operator shall maintain the following record of the period specified the date, location, description, each of the repair with the pipe, but shall maintain useful life of the pipe, the date of location, description, each of the repair made to report the pipeline system other than the pipe shall be maintained at least once a year. Record inspection of the test required with the subpart shall be maintained at least 2 years until the next inspection of the test is performed, whichever is longer. 195.405 protection against ignition, safety acts of the grass involving floating roofs. After October 2nd, 2002, October 2nd, 2000, protection of the ignition of the rising out of the cycle of street lighting straight currents during operation maintenance activities involving above ground breakout tank smoking in accordance with the API RP 2003, Court of Reference 195.3, with unless the operator knows the procedural manual 195.402 with the C, while compliance with all the criteria provisions API RP 2003, not necessarily for the safety of the particular breakout tank. These hazards associated with the access or egress of the onto the floating roof of the above ground breakout tank within performance inspection, surface maintenance, repair activities within specified general conditions that specified routine tasks that entering the tanks, move the surface for cleaning, and or October 2nd, 2002, operator must review the considered potential hazard condition that safety practice of the API publication 2026 for inclusion in the procedure manual. 195.406 maximum operating pressure except for the some surge pressure the variation of the normal operation, but the normal operating the rate of the pipeline with the pressure achieved any of the following. Internal design pressure of the pipe determined that going with 195.106 the half of the steel pipe of the pipeline with the converted 195.5. One more effective design formula 195.106 with the unknown with the one with the following pressure to be used in design pressure. 80% of the first test pressure perceived the yield under section N5.0, the Index 9, the ASME, ANSI B31.8, incorporated the reference to 195.3, reduce the appropriate factor of the 195.106, the A and E. If the pipe is 1230 cores within last outside diameter is not tested for the yield out under the paragraph of 200 psi gave the design pressure and any other component of the pipeline 80% of the test pressure. If any part of the pipeline have the pressure tested the initial part E of this part, 80% of the factory pressure for the prototype test pro sheet for the individual installed with the compliant component with the expected testing under 195.305 for pipelines under 195.302 B2 and P1 for they have not pressure tested under the subpart E of the part 80% of the test pressure ties operating pressure to which the pipeline was subject with the before more continuous hours that can be demonstrated with the recording charts of the logs made with the time the test operations were conducted. No operator may permit the presence of the pipeline during the surge of the other variations of normal operation exceeding 110% of the operating pressure limited established on the paragraph A of the section. Each operator must provide adequate control to protect the equipment and control pressure within the limits. 195.408 communication. Each operator must have the communications to provide the transmission information needed for the safe operation pipeline system. Communication system required for paragraph A of the section must minimum include the minimum means for monitoring operational data required within 195.402 C9. Receive notice of the operator personal public authority of the abnormal emergency conditions, sending information to the appropriate personnel with the government agency to correct action, conducting two-way vocal communication between the control center with the scene the operator of the abnormal operation of the emergency, providing communication with the fire police for the other appropriate public official during the emergency condition, including the natural disaster. Alright, 194.5.410 line markers. Except provided in paragraph B of the section, each operator shall maintain its line markers other than buried pipe. The following markers must be located in the public road crossing, each of the railroad crossing, and sufficient number along the remainder of the buried line with the location accurately known. The markers must stay with at least the following background and sharply contrasting color. The word warning, caution, and the danger followed by the words petroleum, the name of the hazard, liquid transportation pipeline, carbon dioxide pipeline. All the words except the markers are heavily developed urban area that must be in level with at least 1 inch high with a profile and stroke with a 1/4 inch. The name of the operative, they have the telephone number, they include the area of the code the operative can be reached at all times. Line markers are not required that buried pipeline is located. Offshores are at the crossing under waterways and other bodies of the water is heavily developed urban area that serves the downtown business center of the where the placement of the markers impractical would not serve the purpose of the markers intended for the local government maintained for the current substructure. Each operator shall provide the line with the location local line with the above ground in the area with accessible to the public. 195.412 inspection of the right of way of the crossing under the navigable waters. Each operation in the interval will not exceed 3 weeks, but at least 26 times each calendar year. And inspect the safety surface condition of the adjacent each of the pipeline right of way methods of the inspection, including walking device for the flying of the appropriate mean with the traversing of the right of way, except for the other offshore pipeline with the operator shall intervals not exceed the 5 years. Inspect each of the crossing and navigable waterway to the condition of the crossing. 195.413 underwater inspection rebear with the pipeline with the Gulf of Mexico inlet with except for the gathering lines of 412 4.5 inch of the outside the diameter small with each of the operators shall prepare with the following procedure identified pipelines Gulf of Mexico with the inlet with water less than 15 feet the deep measure for the mean with the low water at the risk of the beginning exposed water underwater pipeline with the hazard navigation perceived with the business being effective hourglass in 2005. Each operator should conduct the appropriate periodic underwater inspection of the pipeline with the Gulf of Mexico inlet water left of 15 feet deep with the main low water basin identified at risk. Operators discover this pipeline with exposed underwater pipe proposed hazard navigation operation shall promptly no later than 24 hours discover to notify the National Response Center with total telephone 1-800-424-8802 for the location and available geographical condition of the pipeline promptly no later than 7 days after discovery the market location of the pipeline according to the 33 title CFR Part 64 end of the pipeline segment interval is not over the 500 yards longer except the pipeline segment is less than 200 yards long need only to be marked in the center with the month after 6 months after discovery no later than November 1st the following year for the 6 month period and later than November 1st of the year. They discovered the barrier of the pipe so that the top of the pipe is 36 inches below the underwater natural as determined the record of the general accept the practice for the normal excavation of the 18 inches for rock excavation. An operator may employ the engineer alternative to burial the meat that exceeds the level of protection provided with the burial. If the operator cannot obtain the required state federal permits within time that comply with the section, it must be notified the operational petroleum safety, which specifies whether the required permit is state, federal, or justified the delay. 195.414 through 418 reserve. 195.420 valve maintenance. Each operation maintain each of the valve necessary for the safe operation pipeline, safe for the good working over an order at all times. Each operator shall at intervals not exceeding 7.5 months to be at least 2 twice each of the calendar year inspect each of the mainline valve to determine if the function properly. Each operator shall provide the protection with each of the valve under authorized operation vandalism. 195.422 pipeline repairs. Each operator shall repairing the pipeline safely ensure that the repair is made within a safe manner made to prevent damage to personal property. No operator may use any of the pipe and the fitting of the replacement of the repairing pipeline facility unless it is designed and constructed as required by this part. 195.424 pipe movement. No operator may move with any line pipe unless the pressure of the pipeline is involved with reduced not more than 50% of the maximum operating pressure. No operator may move any of the pipe containing the highly volatile liquids where materials are line section involved with the joint and welded unless moving it with a pipeline does not contain the high volatile liquids impractical to achieve the operator on section 195.402 contain with precaution protect the public hazard may move the pipelines containing the highly volatile liquids, including the use of the warnings where necessary to excavate the area to close the pipeline. Pressure in the line section when they reduce the lower following the 50% of the left maximum operating pressure. The lowest practical level will maintain a high volatile liquid in liquid state continuous flow, but not less than 50 psi above the vapor pressure of the common. No operator may with the but the pipeline containing the high volatile liquid that material within the line section involved with not joined welded unless the operator comply with the paragraph 1B, 1, 2 of the section. In the line section is isolated to prevent flow of the high volatile liquids. 195.426 scraper and shear facility. No operator use the launcher with the receiver that not equipped with the received relief device capable of safety and relieving the pressure of the barrel will prepare before inserting the removal of the scraper and shears. Operator must use the suitable device to indicate the pressure that has been relieved within the barrel must provide with the means to prevent insertion and removal of the scraper of the spheres or if pressure that has not been relieved in the barrel. Alright, 195.428 overpressure safety device overfill protection system. Except the provided paragraph B of the section, each of the operational intervals not exceed the 15-month delay, at least once each calendar year, then keep the pipelines due with the care of the high volatile liquid intervals not exceeding 7.5 months, but at least 2 each calendar year. Inspect the depth of each of the line leading to relieve the valve, the pressure regulator, order, and the pressure control equipment to determine if the function properly with a good mechanical condition, adequate with the sustaining capacity for the reliability operation in which of use to indicate for the relief of the valve, the brake and pressure breakout of the tank for the container with the high volatile liquid. Each operator shall test each of the valve intervals not exceeding 5 years. Above ground breakout tanks that are constructed significantly altered in accordance with the API standard 2510, incorporated by reference C in the 195.3 of the October 2nd, 2000 must have the overfill protection system installed in accordance with the API standard 2510 section 712 of the above ground breakout tank with the 600 gallons or more storage capacity. They are constructed in significantly altered by October 2nd, 2002. Second 2000 must have overfill protection installed with the accordance with the API or RPI 2350, corporate reference 195.3. However, the inoperative need not to comply with any of the part of the API or RP 2350. Particular breakout tank with operator to describe the manual required. 195.402 the compliance with the support not necessary for the safety of the tank. After October 2nd, 2000, the requirements of the paragraph A and B of this section, inspection, testing, pressure control of the equipment may apply with the inspection, testing, overall filling protection system. 195.430 firefighting equipment. Each operator shall maintain adequate firefighting equipment at each of the pump station breakout tank area. The equipment must be in proper operation condition at all times, plainly marked so that identified the firefighting equipment is clear, located so that it is easily accessible to fire. 195.432 inspection of the insert of the breakout. Except for the breakout tank with expected in paragraph B and C with the section, each operator shall interval does not exceed 15 months by at least once each calendar year. Inspect each of the insert of the breakout tank. Each operator must inspect the physical integrity of the insert for the atmosphere with low pressure for the steel pressure for the ground breakout tank with the accordance for the API standard 653 except for the 643 alternative internal inspection interval with the incorporated with the reference 195.3. However, the structural condition of the vent, except for the tank at the bottom, with the integrity maybe except for the corner with the plan, include the operation maintenance of the manual under 195.402 C3, risk based internal inspection API standard 653 section 643, which cannot be used concerning internal inspection interval. Operators who establish internal inspection interval based on the risk of the base inspection procedure prior to March 6, 2015 must be reestablished. The internal inspection intervals based on the API Standard 653, 62642, incorporated with reference 195.3. Internal inspection interval to determine the prior risk based on the inspection for each stage for the API standard 653, 643, with the resulting calculation exceeding 20 years. It had been more than 20 years since the internal inspection performed. The operator must complete with the new internal inspection with 195.432B1 on January 5, 2017. Internal inspection interval to determine the prior risk based on the inspection procedure of the API standard 653, 643, with the resulting calculation will less than or equal 20 years less time since the more recent internal inspection exceeded the re-established inspection interval in accordance with 195.432B1. Operator must complete the new internal inspection January 5, 2017. Internal inspection interval not based on the current engineering, the operation information, actual corrosion rate of the floors, rates, plates, and actual remaining thickness of the floor plates, etc. Operator must complete the new internal inspection January 5, 2017. Re-establish new internal inspection interval according to 195.432B. Reserved each operator must inspect the physical integrity and surface of the above ground tanks built with API standard 2510. Incorporate the reference C 195.3 according to the selection of 6 API standard 510. Incorporate the reference C section 195.3. Intervals inspections as found in the references in paragraph B and C with the section beginning May 3rd, 1999. The operation lasts recorded date of the inspection, whichever is earlier. 195.434 signs. Each operator must maintain signs visible to the public around the public safe for the breakout tank area. Each of the sign must contain the same name of the operator with the telephone number, including the area code where the operator can be reached at all times. 195.436 security. The facility. Each operator shall provide the protection of each pumping station breakout tank area of the exposed facility using scraper traps of the vandalism on their authorized entry. 195.438 smoke in the open flames. Each operator shall permit the smoke in the open flame of the pumping station area. Each of the breakout tank is aware of the possible leakage of the flammable hazardous liquid, the presence of the flammable vapors. 195.440 public awareness. Each pipeline operator must develop and implement the written continuing public education program found with the guidance provided by the American Petroleum Incident Recommended Practice 1162 corporate reference 195.3. Operators program must follow the general program of the recommendation of the API RP 1162 except for the unique attributes with care of the operator pipeline. The operator must follow the general program recommendations, include the baseline supplemental requirement of the API RP 1162 unless out of the rest operator will provide the justification program. The procedural manual as to why the compliance of certain provisions of recommendation practice is not practical, not necessary safety. The operator program must specifically include provisions to educate the public, appropriate the government, the organization, and person that engaged the excavation-related activities. Use on one call notification system prior to their excavation with the other damage prevention activities. Possible hazards associated with the unintended relief of the hazard liquid carbon dioxide pipeline facility. Physical indications of the release may have occurred. The step that should have detected the public safety event with a hazard liquid with carbon dioxide pipeline release. Procedure the reports of the event. The program must include the activity affected the municipality, school district, business, and residents of the pipeline facility location. Program the media must be the comprehensive necessary to breach all the area for the operator transport hazard liquid and carbon dioxide. The program must conduct in English or other languages commonly understood with a significant number to concentrate for the non-English speaking population in the operator's area. Our operators existing in June 20th. 2005 must be complete with a written program no later than June 20th, 2006. Upon request, the operator must have submitted the completed program to the PHMSA in the case of the interstate with the pipeline facility operator with the appropriate state agency. The operator program documentation evaluation result must be available to periodic review and appropriate regulatory agencies. Part 195.442, the damage prevention program. Except the prevention paragraph of the BE with the section operative of the Berry pipeline must carry out in accordance with the section of the written program to prevent the damage for the pipeline excavation activity. Purposes of the section determine the excavation activities include excavation, blasting, boring, tunneling, backfilling, the removal of the above ground structure for the other either explosives of the mechanical means the other earth moving operation. Operator may comply with any of the requirements received with the section of the participation public service program. One of the calls on-call system of the associated participation does not relieve the operator of the responsibility to comply with the section. However, the operator may perform the duty of the paragraph C3 section participation one call system, the qualified one call system. Areas are covered by more than one call system. The operator that we need only join will qualify one call system if there is a central telephone number for excavators to call the excavation activities. If the one call system is there, error communicate with one another. Operator pipeline system must be covered with the qualified one call system where the one is played for the purpose of the section one call system. Consider qualified one system if it meets the requirements of section B1, B2 of this section. State has adopted one call damage prevention program in 198.37 of the chapter. One call system is operated within accordance with 198.39 of the chapter. Provide the pipeline operator with the opportunity similar to voluntary participation and have the department and management responsibility assess the per participation pipeline operative fee, the proportional with the cost of the one call system coverage of the operator pipeline. Damage prevention program paragraph A of the section must be minimum. Include the identity of the current of the base of the person normally engaged with the excavation activities in the area of which the pipeline is located. Provide the notification of public sending of the pipeline actual notification person identified in paragraph C1 of the section following often needed to make them aware of the damage prevention program, the program existence and purpose, and how to learn the location of the underground pipeline excavation activities become the provided the means of receiving and recording notification plan excavation activities. For the operator's buried pipeline area of excavation activity provided actual notification from the person who gives the note of the intent of the excavated that type of temporary marking to provide how they identify the mark provide the temporary mark of the buried pipelines in the area of the excavation activity before as far as practical activity begins, provided to follow the inspection of the pipeline where the operator would have reason to believe that could be damage of the excavation activities. Inspection must be done with the frequently necessary during after activity, verifying integrity of the pipeline. Give it the blasting, and any of the inspection must be included. The leakage surveys, damage prevention program under the section is not required with the following pipelines. Pipelines located offshore pipelines to which access is physically controlled by the operator. The each computational pipeline monitoring leak detection. Each computational pipeline monitoring leak detection system is installed with the heads of liquid pipeline transportation liquid signal phase without gaps of the liquid must comply with the API or RPI liquid L1130 incorporated the reference 195.3 operating with maintain the testing record, keep the dispatcher trained with the system 195.446 control room management. The general of this section apply with each of the operator of the pipeline facility, the control working with the control of the room, the monitor of the control all the pipeline part of the pipeline facility of the sky system. Each of the operator must have the following written control room management procedure. The implementation requirements of section procedure requirements of section integrate the operator written procedure required than 195.4.2. The operator must develop the procedure no later than August 1st, 2011. The must implement the procedure according with the following schedule of the procedure required in paragraphs B, C5, D2, and D3, and F and G of this section must be implemented no later than October 1st, 2011. Procedure required in paragraphs C1 through 4 and D1, D4, D, and E must be implemented no longer than August 1st, 2012. Training procedures required paragraph H must be implemented no later than August 1st, 2012. Except for any training required by any of the paragraph of the section must be implemented no longer than the deadline for the paragraph. Alright, roles and responsibility. Each operator must define the role and responsibility of the control during the normal operation, the emergency operation, the condition that provided the controller prompt that operator appropriate response to the operation condition. The operator must define each of the following: the controller's authority to responsibility to make the decision, take action in the normal operation of the controller's role, the abnormal operation of the condition, detect the control not first with defect. The condition includes the controller's responsibility to take specific action, communicate with the others. The controller's role during the emergency event, even with the controller the first detect the emergency event, include the controller's responsibility to take specific action, communication with others. A method of recording controller shifting and hand over the responsibility between the controller roles, responsibility qualification of others who have the authority to direct and supersede with the specific technical action for the controllers, provide adequate information. Each of the operator must provide the controllers with the information, tools, and processes, and perceive the necessary for the control of the carry out the role of the responsibility operator to define and performing each of the following: implement the API or RPI. API RPI 1165 incorporate the reference 195.3 with the every SCADA system and added with the expand the related under of the operator demonstrate the certain provisions API RP 1165 not practical to the SCADA system used. Conduct the point-to-point verification of SCADA display related to field equipment with the field equipment added with remove the remove when the other change the effect with the pipeline safety made the field equipment the SCADA displays. Does verify internal communication plan with the provide adequate team for the annual operation of the pipeline safety at least once each calendar day, once each calendar year, but interval not exceeding 15 months. They take any backup of the SCADA system at least once each calendar year, but at intervals not exceeding 15 months. Implement section 5 of the API or RPI 1168 incorporate the reference 195.3 to establish a procedure for when the different controller assumes responsibility, including content of the information of the exchange fatigue mitigation. Each operator must implement the following methods to reduce the risk associated with the control fatigue that can inhibit the controller's ability to carry out the roles and responsibility of the operator. Define, establish, shift the language legs for the scheduled rotation that provide with the controllers off the duty in time sufficient to achieve 8 hours of the continuous sleep. Educated controllers supervise with fatigue mitigation strategies. How often off-duty activities contribute to fatigue. Train controllers to supervise to recognize the effect of the fatigue. Establish minimum maximum limit of hours of service which may provide with emergency deviation with the maximum limit of necessary safe operation pipeline facility. Alarm management. Each operating SCADA system must have the written alarm management plan to provide effective control of the response to the alarm. The operator's plan must include the provision, review the SCADA of the safety-related alarm operation, review the process to ensure the alarms are accurate, the support the safe pipeline operation, identify at least once each calendar month the points affecting safety that have been taken off the scan of the SCADA host. Have had alarms inhibited with the generated false alarms, or that have then forced manual valve to proceed period of time exceeding the required associated maintenance operation activities. 3. Verify the correct and safety related to alarm set point with the value of the alarm descriptive and associated with the field instrument that calibrated changes and at least once each calendar year, but at least intervals not exceeding 15 months. Review the alarm that required for the paragraph at least once each calendar year, but at intervals not exceeding 15 months to determine the effectiveness of the plan and monitor the content of the volume of the general activity be directed to require with each of the controller each at least once each calendar year, but the intervals not exceeding 15 months that will ensure the controller that has sufficient time to analyze reacting incoming alarms and address the deficiencies and identify through the intermediate implementation paragraph E1 through E5 of the section. Change management. Each operator must ensure they change that could affect the control room. The operators for the coordinate with the control room personnel with the performing each of the following. Implement Section 7 of the API RP 1168 for the control room management. Change the required conditions between the control room reps of the operated management of the associated field personnel with the planning and implementation physical change the pipeline equipment configuration. Require the field personnel to control and contact the control room for the emergency conditions if they make the field change with effect with the control room operations. Alright, operation experience with each of the operation must assure the lessons learned with the operation experience with the incorporated with the appropriate with the into the control room management procedure with the performing each of the following. Review accidents that must be reported with the pursuant to 195.50, 195.52 to determine if the control room action that contributed to the event. If so, correct when necessary the deficiency they related to the correct fatigue of the field equipment the field operation for the relief device for the perceived the SCADA system and the configuration SCADA system performance include the lesson learned for the operative experience with the training program required in the section. Training each operator must establish the controller training the review of the training program to identify potential and improvement at least once each calendar year. But intervals not exceeding the 15 month the operator program must provide the training each for the controller to carry out the roles and responsibility defined by the operator. In addition, with the training program may include the following elements: responding to abnormal operations, if the conditions likely to occur with the simultaneously within sequence with its computerized similarity non computerized tabletop method, training controllers to recognize the abnormal operation condition, training controllers the responsible for the communication over the operative the emergency response procedure. Training will provide the controller with working knowledge of the pipeline system potentially during the development of abnormal conditions for the pipeline operating setups, but periodically and infrequently with the providing operator with the control to review the relevant perceived advance the application control room that retain the training exercise include both controllers and other individuals to find the operator who is responsible, but by expected to operate calibrate with the control room the personnel during the normal abnormal emergency situation operation. Operators must comply with the team training requirements under the paragraph no later than January 23rd, 2018. Our compliance validation. Request that the operating must be submitted with the procedure of the PHMSA and if the interstate pipeline facility regulated with the appropriate state agency complying with the deviation the appropriate operator must maintain the review during the inspection. Record the demonstration of the compliance with the requirements of the section, documentation of the demonstration of the deviation of the required of the section when necessary for the safety of the operation of the pipeline's facility. Alright, high consequence areas, 195.450 definition. The following additions apply with the section of the 195.452. Emergency flow restriction device or EFRD. Means the check valve remote with the control valve, flow valve, valve. Check valve means the valve that permits the fluid to flow freely in one direction and contain the mechanism to automatically prevent the flow in the other direction. Remote control valve with the RCV means that any of the valve can operate with the location of the remote or from the valve that is installed with the remote control valve that is usually operated with the supervisor control of the data acquisition SCADA linkage between the pipeline control center with the remote control valve that may be fiber optic, microwave, the telephone line, the satellite. High consequence area, the commercial navigable waterway, which means the waterway with a substantial likelihood of the commercial navigation exists. High population area, which means the unurbanized, defined with the delineated census bureau that contains 50,000 or more people. The population density at least 1,000 people per square mile. Other populated area, which means defined delineated census bureau with the consent of the construction population, incorporated with the unincorporated city, town, village, and other disadvantage. Designated residential commercial area. Unusual sensitive area defined in 195.6 pipeline integrity management, 195.452 pipeline integrity management, high consequence areas. Which pipelines are covered in the section apply with the head liquid pipeline carbon dioxide pipeline could affect with a high consequent area to include with any pipeline in the high consequent area the less the operator effectively demonstrate with the risk of the pipeline could not affect the area with the pendency with the provided guidelines to determine the pipeline could have the high consequence area covering pipeline with coverage categories and file with the category 1 include with the pipelines existing in the May 29th, 2001 that are owned with the operated with the own operated with a total of 500 or more miles of pipeline subject part. Category 2 include the pipelines existing in May 29th, 2001 that are owned and operated with the operator who own the operate less than 500 miles of the pipeline subject to this part. Category 3 include the pipelines constructed and converted with May 29th, 2001. Low stress pipelines are specified in 195.13 or 195.12. What program practice the operator's demand the pipeline integrity each of the operating pipeline coverage of the section must be developed the written integrity management of the program and address the risk of each of the segment of the pipeline first column of the following table no later than the second column Category 1, March 31st, 2002. Category 2, February 18th, 2003. Category 3, 1 year after the date of the pipeline begins, including the program identified and identification of each of the pipeline check with the first column of the following table no later than the date in the second column. Category 1, December 31st, 2001. Category 2, November 8, 2002. Category 3, date line of the pipeline begin the operation, including the program plan with the carried out the base assessment line the pipe required with the paragraph C with the section, include the program and the framework, address each of the element of the integrity management program under the paragraph F of the section, include the continual integrity assessment evaluation under paragraph J with the section initial indicate how the decision may be made to implement each the element implemented and filed with the program, follow recognized industrial practice to carry out the second list. The section specifies otherwise the operative demonstrate the alternative practice to support with the reliable engineering evaluation provided the value equivalent level of public and safety environmental protection. What must be in the baseline assessment plan? The operator must include each of the following elements of the written baseline assessment plan. The method selected for the assess the integrity of the line of the pipe. The operator must have assess the integrity of the line of the pipe. The following method of the benefit the operator select the low frequency electrical resistant weld pipe. Lap welded pipe suspect the longitudinal seam failure with the capable of assessing the seam the integrity with the detecting corrosion, deformation, and anomalies. Inline inspection tool capable of detecting the corrosion of the information of the anomalies, including the gap of the groove of the pipeline segment with the support of the groove of the pipe with the weld seam. The operator must use the inline inspection tool capable of detecting crack the anomalies. The performing the assessment with the inline inspection tool. The operator must comply with 195.591. Pressure test contact in accordance with subpart E with the part of the external corrosion directed assessment in accordance with 195.588. The other technology operator with the demonstrator that can provide the equivalent understanding of the condition of the line pipe. The operator shooting operation must notify the pipeline safety 90 days before conducting the assessment of saying to notify the director of the facility fast mile number of the specified in paragraph M of the section schedule with the completing of the integrity management assessment. Explanation of the assessment method been selected the evaluation risk factor for the contributor established for the assessment schedule. Operator must document with the prior to the implementation any change of the plan with the many modifications of the plan, the reason for the modification. Why must the operator complete with the baseline assessment? Operators must come and complete the baseline assessment as follows. The time periods complete the assessment before the following deadlines. Category 1, the complete baseline assessment the following day of the according the scheduled priority assessment. Category 1, March 31st, 2008. Category 2, February 17th, 2009. Category 3, day of the pipeline begin the operation, and at least 50% of the line of the pipe is expedited basis to begin with the height of the pipe risk pipe later than category 1 September 30th 2004, category 2 August 16th 2005, category 3 not applicable. Prior assessment with the satisfied the requirements of the paragraph C1 with the section pipeline with the first column with the first following table that operated with the integrity mass the integrity management assessment conducted after the day of the second column integrity assessment method to comply with the section. However, the operator reviewed the prior assessment. If baseline assessment, operator must reassess the light line according to the paragraph J3 of the section of the table. Category 1, January 4th, 1996. Category 2, February 15th, 1997. New identity, identify the area within the information available. The information in the paragraph G of the section, the census over the map of the population density around the pipeline segment chain with the within the definition 195 or 50 with the high population or other populated area. Operator must incorporate the area into the baseline assessment for the high consequence area of the 1 year of the day of the identified operator. They must comply with the baseline assessment any line pipe that can be effectively newly identified the high consequence area of the 5 years of the day of the area is identified. Or an operator must incorporate the newly unusual sensitive area of the baseline assessment plan with the one with the year of the day of the area of the identified by the operator must complete with the baseline assessment any line pipe that could affect with the newly identified consequence of the year of the day of the area identified. Alright, what area of the risk factor is established for the assessment schedule of both baseline continuing integrity assessment with the operative managed to establish the integrity assessment schedule of the priorities of the pipeline with the assessment. See paragraph D1 through J3 with the section. Operative must base the assessment schedule on risk factors reflecting the risk condition of the pipeline with the pacing factor the operator must consider includes but are not limited to result of the previous integrity assessment defect and size. The assessment method cannot be defective. The growth rate of the pipe or proper pipe size of the material manufacturer information. Coding type of the condition, type of the leaking, history of the repair, history of the cathodic protection, history, product transported, operational stress level, existing project activities in the area, local environmental factors that could affect the pipeline corrosive of the substance and climatic, geotechnical, have the physical support with the cable suspension bridge of the appendix C with the part provide with the further guidance of the risk factor. What other elements integrity management of the program begins with the initial framework of the property continuing the chain with the program reflect the operation experience of conclusion drawn with the result of the integrity system other maintenance of the surveillance of the evaluation consequence of failure with the high consequence area and operator must include minimum each of the following elements of the written integrity management program profit identifying which the pipeline simply could affect the high consequences the baseline assessment meeting with the requirements of paragraph C of the section, analyzing the integrate the available information, integrating the entire pipeline with the consequence of the failure with the C paragraph G of the section, criteria of the remedial action, and direct the integrity of the issue raised by the assessment method, information, analysis paragraph H of the section, continue the process of assessment, evaluation, maintain the pipeline secretary. C paragraph J of the section, identification of the preventive and mitigative the measure of the protect the high consequence area C paragraph I of the section. Alright, so the method is measure of the program, the effectiveness of the C paragraph K of the section process of the review and integrity of assessment, the results of the analysis of the person or qualified evaluate the result of the information paragraph the H2 of the section, which information analysis periodically evaluating the integrity of the pipeline, second paragraph J of the section, the operative must analyze the available information about the entire pipeline with the consequence of the failure of this information, include the information critical determination potential for the preventing the damage of the excavation, including the current planning of damage of preventing after the development along with the pipeline segment, data gathered through the integrity man assessment required from the second data gather in connection with the other inspection, testing, surveillance, patrols required by this part, including the corrosion control, monitoring cathodic protection services. Information such for how the failure would affect the high consequence in areas such as the location of the water intake, the water action to operative take the draft integrity issue, general requirements. Operative must take the proper action with the draft the anomalies that for the operative to discover through the integrity assessment of the information analysis, the draft all conditions. The must evaluate all anomalies, conditions, of remedies, the good result, reduce the pipeline integrity. The operator must be able to demonstrate the remedy of the condition. It will ensure the condition is likely to pose the threat with the long-term integrity of the pipeline. The operator must comply with the 195.422 with the when making a repair. Alright, I. Temporary pressure reduction. The operator must notify the PHMSA or the equivalent of the paragraph at the end of the section if the operator cannot move the schedule of the evaluation remediation required with the paragraph H3. Of the section cannot provide safety throughout the temporary reduction operation pressure, long-term pressure reduction, C 365 days. Operating must notify the PHMSA and with the paragraph of the section and explain the reason of the delay with the operator must ensure and also take the further remedial action to ensure the safety of the pipeline. Discover the operator condition, the discovery condition over the operator that has adequate information of the condition, determine the condition, the presence of the potential threat, integrity of the pipeline. Operator must properly must no later than 100 days to integrity assessment with physician information about the condition to make the determination. Unless the operator demonstrates the 180 days period practical schedule evaluation remediation operator must complete the remediation of the condition according with the schedule period toward the condition evaluation remediation operation cannot meet the schedule of any of the condition. Operator must explain the reason it cannot meet the schedule, how the change of schedule will not jeopardize public safety and environmental protection, special requirements, scheduling, remediation, immediate repair conditions. Our operator's evaluation remedial schedule must provide the immediate repair condition to maintain the safety of the operator. Temporary reduce the operating pressure to shut down the pipeline until the operator complete the response of the condition of the operator must calculate the temporary reduction of the operating pressure using the formulas referenced paragraph H41B of the section that's unsuitable if the strength of the calculation method is identified by the operator must implement minimum 20% of the greater operation pressure of the reduction based on active the operation pressure 2 months prior to the day of the inspection. Until the anomaly is repaired, operator must review the following conditions immediately. Repair conditions. Metal left greater than 80% of the nominal, regardless of the dimension calculation. The remaining strength of the pipe show the particular burst pressure left and then established maximum operating pressure location with the anomaly. Suitable remaining strength of the calculation method includes but not limited to ASI B31G with incorporated the reference 193 PRC 1 PRC I with the PR 3805 with the R strength. Incorporate the reference 195.3. The located in the top of the pipeline above the 4 8 and 8 o'clock position. Have the indication of the metal of the crack in the truss riser. Located at the top of the pipeline above 4 and 8 o'clock position with a deeper greater than 6% of the nominal pipe diameter. Anomaly that judgment of the person designated by the operator to evaluate the system result required immediate action. 60-day condition. The condition listed within paragraph the H41, the section operator must schedule the evaluation remediation of the following condition. The 60 days of the recovery position is located at the top of the pipeline. 4 to 8 o'clock position with a greater depth than 3% of the pipeline diameter greater than 250 thousandths of an inch depth of the pipeline diameter less than the nominal pipe size at 12. Located in the above of the pipeline has an indication of metal loss crack in the truss riser. 180 gauge position except for the location except for the condition listed in paragraph H41 and 2 of the section of the operator must schedule the evaluation remediation of the following 180 days of the recovery of the condition. Within the depth of greater than 2 inches of the 2% of the pipeline diameter, the inch of the depth of the pipeline diameter less than NPS 12. The effect of the pipe curvature of the earth weld and longitudinal seam weld. Alright, B. A dent located at the top pipeline above 4 and 8 o'clock position with a deep depth greater than 2% of the pipeline diameter, 25,000. of an inch, 250 thousandths of an inch. Depth of the pipeline diameter is less than the NPS 12. A depth located in the bottom of the pipeline with a depth greater than 6% of the pipeline diameter calculation. Remaining strip of the pipe show the operating pressure to the left and the current established maximum operating pressure for location of the anomaly. Suitable remaining strength of calculation method included but not limited to the ASME, ASI B31G, the PRC, and PR3805, or strength, area with the general curve, predicted metal loss greater than 50% nominal wall, predicted metal loss greater than 50% nominal the wall with located with the crossing in another pipeline is an area with widespread circumference with the corrosion, or is an area that it could affect with the girth well. The potential crack indication of the best way to determine the crack corrosion over the along with the longitudinal diagonal longitudinal seam with the groove of the gouge of the groove greater than 12.5% down the wall, or the condition listed in paragraph H413 of the section operative may evaluate the condition identifying the integrity of suspended information analysis could impair the integrity of the pipeline, appropriate schedule of the condition remediation, and C with the part of the condition contains the guidance concerning the condition of the operator should evaluate. When preventive mitigate the measure for the operator with the take of the prior tip with a high consequence area of the general requirement, the operator must take the measure for the prevent mitigate with the consequence of the pipeline failure could affect the high consequence area of the measure and include the conducting risk for the analysis of the pipeline so they identify the additional section and enhance the public safety and environmental protection. Those actions include damage for the prevention practice of the monitoring the cathodic protection where corrosion is concerned, as well as another inspection intervals inspection the EFRDs for the pipeline segment modifying the system of the monitoring presence. Detect for the providing additional strength of the personnel with the response to the sheet of control and within the local emergency respond to adapt to the manager control. Risk analysis the criteria to identify the need for the additional preventive mitigate the measure operational measure the valve with likelihood of the pipeline release and curve how with the release could affect the high consequence area of the determination must consider all the risk of effect including not limited to terrain surrounding the pipeline segment, including the drain system of the small stream with other small waterways that could affect the continuity of the high consequence areas. Evaluation profile, character of the product with the transported amount of the product, for the relief, the possibility of the spillage of the farm field following the drain tile of the waterway with ditches along the side of the roadway, pipeline crossway. Crosses 7th and physical support with the pipeline segment with the such black cable suspension bridge, the exposure of the pipeline to operating pressure exceeding the established maximum operating pressure. Leak detection operation must have the means to detect limit line leaks of the pipeline. The operator must avail with the capability of leaking detection, meaning that modify the necessary to protect with the high consequence area of the operator evaluation must at least consider the following factors: the side of the pipeline, type of the product carried, pipeline proximity of the high consequence area, the swiftness, leak detection, location of the nearest response, personal leak history, risk assessment results. Or your emergency flow restriction device. The operator with the the emergency flow restriction device beneath the pipeline segment to protect the high consequence area with the hazard liquid pipelines. Relief the operator must install the emergency flow restriction device and make a determination. The operator must at least consider the following factors: swiftness and leak detection pipeline. Shutdown capability type of the combined with the carry rate of the potential leak with the volume that can be relieved at the topographic pipeline profile, potential the ignition proximity, the power source. The location near the response personnel, the specific terrain between the pipeline segment, high concern area to benefit the expect with the producing spill size, will continual process of evaluation must definitely maintain with the pipeline integrity. The one general after completing the baseline integrity, something the operator must continue to set the line pipe, the specified intervals periodically evaluate the integrity of each of the pipeline segment and can affect the high consequent area. Evaluation of the operator must conduct a periodic evaluation frequency and if they assure the pipeline integrity, the operator must base the frequency of the evaluation of the risk factor. Specific in the pipeline would include the factors specified in paragraph E of the section evaluation must install can ensure the result of the baseline periodic integrity of the assessment information analysis. Paragraph G of this section, the decision of the remedy that preventive mitigate the action. Paragraph H and I of this section, the interval of any operator established the 5 years interval exceeding 68 months with the continuity assessing the line integrity of the operator must pay for the assessment with the interval of the risk of the line possessed for the high consequent area of determining the propriety of the second pipeline segment. The operator must establish the assessment based on the factors specified in paragraph E of the section and analysis result of the last of the integrity assessment with the information analysis required. Paragraph G of the section, variance of the 5 years interval, the limited situation engineering base of the operator may be able to justify an engineering base of the longer the assessment interval, the segment of the line pipe. The justification must be supported with the reliable engineering evaluation combined with the use of other technology and external monitoring. Technology to provide understanding of the condition of the line pipe, the equivalent which can be obtained with the subsequent method allowed in paragraph J5 with the condition the operator must notify Ops 270 with the day with the 250 days before the end of the 5 years, the intro operational petroleum safety 250 days before the end of the 5 years, the interval justification of the longer interval, the purpose of the alternative interval, the operator must succeed. Similar notes they address and specify in the paragraph the M of the section. When available technology and operator may record the longer except in the period with the segment with the line of pipe. For example, the substance give the internal inspection technology is not available. An operator must justify the reason why it cannot comply with the required assessment period with must also demonstrate the action taken. The integrity of the pipeline segment. If the interim, the operator must notify the operational petroleum safety operational petroleum safety 180 days before the end of the 5-year interval. The operator may record longer assessment interval to provide an assessment with the assessment can be complete with the operator must send the note of the judge specified in paragraph M of this section. Assessment method: the operator must assess the integrity of the line with the pipe, then follow the method for the operated slope with the SS low frequency electrical resistant welded pipe, low up welded pipe, select backable longitudinal seam failure, capable of assessing seam integrity and detecting corrosion deformation anomalies. Inline inspection tool with the tools capable of detecting corrosion deformation anomalies, including dense gouge groove of the pipeline segment. The suspected crack of the pipe body with welded seams. Operator must use the inline inspection tool. The tool is capable of detecting cracked anomalies. Performing the assessment with the inline inspection tool. The operator must comply with the 195.591. Per the test conducted in accordance with the subpart E with this part of the external corrosion direct assessment in accordance with 195.588. Other technology operational demonstrated can provide and will then understand the condition of the line pipe of the operator contributing option of the operational petroleum safety of the 90 days for conducting the assessment the same with the note for the address of the fifth mile number of the specified paragraph M of this section. What method of measurement program effective may be the operating program that must include the method of measurement whether the program is effective if the assessing with the integrity of the pipeline segment, particularly the high constant area, see appendix C with the part of the method that can be used to evaluate the program effectiveness. Where records are operative to keep the demonstrate compliance with the operator must maintain the useful life of the pipeline record to demonstrate the compliance with the requirements. So part a minimum the operator must maintain the following records of the review, then inspection, integrity management program in accordance with the paragraph M of the B of section documents support the decision analysis. Also include the notification, justification, deviation, determination made, variances of the action of the implementation of the value of the each of the element integrity management program listed in paragraph F of the section. See appendix C of the example that records the operator is required to keep how to operate and notify the PHMSA operator must provide the notification required of the section by sending the notification electronic email information resource manager.gov, sending the notification mail to information resource manager.phmsa ops, East Building, second floor, E2223 2112 New Jersey, 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington D.C. 20590. Subpart G, qualification of pipeline personnel.